Good morning, all of you. We have completed nutrition and respiration of life processes for standard 10. Today we will begin with transportation in human beings. Human beings, what is transported in our body is blood. You might have studied in class 9 about blood. What are the functions? It helps in transportation of different gases, different substances, digestive food are also transported through blood. We have it regulates the temperature of the body, but in this chapter we are mainly concerned with the transportation of oxygen, that is blood, and how this blood provides oxygen to different parts of the body, and what happens, how this blood is pumped to different parts of the body, what is the pathway of the movement of blood. So this is what we are going to study. It is also known as circulatory system, and we have three components in circulatory system. What are those three components? One is the blood, which is being circulated, and second is the blood vessels, which will circulate the tube like structure in which the blood flows, and the third one is the pumping organ, which is the heart. So we will study all of them one by one in the circulatory system. Let us see the blood first, because you have already studied this in class 9. Blood, if you remember, it is a connective tissue. You have studied in class 9. It is a connective tissue, and this is a special type of connective tissue whose matrix is liquid, and that is known as plasma. So if we see what are the components of blood, blood consists of plasma and blood cells. This plasma is present in blood. 55% of the blood is plasma and 45% blood cell. Out of this 55%, we have water in it, that is 90 to 95%. And then some compounds are there, which is 5 to 10%. What can be those compounds? They can be digested food like glucose, amino acid, it can have hormones. You know, hormones are directly released into the blood, so it can have hormones. After excretion, metabolic waste are taken to the kidney through blood only, so it also has metabolic waste. So 90 to 95% of it is water, and 5 to 10% are different organic and inorganic compounds, which are glucose, amino acids, hormones, metabolic waste. Gases are also transported through this. So we have O2, CO2. These are different substances present in the plasma. If we look at blood cells, we have three different types of blood cells. One is RBC, red blood corpuscles. The other is WBC, white blood cells, and the third one is the platelets. So three different types of cells are there in blood, and they constitute 45% of the blood: RBC, WBC, and platelets. So the blood cells are RBC. RBC contains hemoglobin, which provides red color to the blood, as hemoglobin has iron in its as one of its components. This hemoglobin is responsible for transporting oxygen. One hemoglobin can carry 4 oxygen molecules. If you remember, we studied this when we were studying respiration, transport of oxygen. So RBC is a biconcave cell having no nucleus, and it contains hemoglobin, which helps in transport of oxygen. If we look at WBC, why there are different types of WBC in our body? There are 5 different types of WBC in our body. monocyte, neutrophil, basophil, eosinophil, and lymphocyte. So these are 5 different types of WBC present in blood, which will help in fighting against the different germs or foreign object that comes into our body. Some of them engulf those foreign objects so that it does not harm our body. So this is protecting us from different kinds of germs and infections. And the third one is platelet, which helps in clotting of blood. Suppose you get a cut in your hand, leg, or anywhere because of some reason. The blood that comes out from the cut generally stops after a certain period of time if the cut is minor. Why does it stop? Because body has its mechanism to stop the flow of blood by forming a clot, which is a protein, and that is known as fibrin. Clot is known as fibrin, and it is a kind of protein. For this clot to form, we require calcium ions and an enzyme is required. The second thing that we need is blood vessels. There are 3 different types of blood vessels in case of human beings and other animals. They are arteries, veins, and blood capillaries. Let us see each one of them one by one. First, let us take artery. Artery is a blood vessel which takes blood away from the heart. Takes blood away from the heart. So all the tubes that are moving out of the heart are known as artery. Number 2, it carries oxygenated blood. What do I mean by oxygenated blood? It is rich in oxygen. If I say deoxygenated blood, it means it is not rich in oxygen, it is rich in carbon dioxide. So arteries carry oxygenated blood, except there is an exception over here. Pulmonary artery will not carry oxygenated blood. When we will study the diagram of heart, we will further understand it. Pulmonary artery will not carry oxygenated blood. So this is an exception and you have to remember it. Artery takes blood away from the heart. Second point is it carries oxygenated blood except pulmonary artery. The third one is it has narrow lumen. Fourth one is it has thick walls. Now what does these two mean? Suppose I draw an artery, as it is a tube like structure. If I draw a TS, it will look somewhat like this. This is the wall and this is the lumen. So suppose this is a tube, this is a tube, these are the walls, and this, the hole that we see through which the blood will flow, is known as lumen. So arteries have narrow lumen and thick walls. So wall of the artery is thick and it has narrow lumen. Because of this, what happens, let me draw a comparative for veins also, then you will understand it better. If this is vein, they have thin wall. This is artery and this is vein. So they have wide lumen and thin wall, whereas these arteries have narrow lumen and thick wall. So these are two differences. Because of this narrow lumen, what happens, arteries have high pressure. So what is the fifth point? Arteries, blood flows in the arteries with high pressure. One point that we will see when we see veins, arteries do not have valves. What are valves? Valves are structures present in the veins which prevent the backflow of the blood. So if we look at veins and consider the same characters that we saw in the arteries, what will happen? Veins are the blood vessels which takes blood to the heart. Number 2, veins carry deoxygenated blood except pulmonary vein. Third one is veins have thin wall. Fourth one is veins have wide lumen. You saw in the diagram in the last page. Fifth one is pressure inside veins is less because they have wide lumen. Arteries do not have valves, but veins have valves to prevent, what is the function? To prevent the backflow of blood. Why do we need these valves in veins? Because veins is carrying blood from the body to the heart, and in the process it has to take the blood from the legs to the heart. So this is a very long journey. So it has valves in between to prevent the backflow of the blood. So by looking at this, you must be able to differentiate between arteries and veins, because I have written all the points in that sequence only. Arteries are the blood vessels which take blood away from the heart and distribute it to different parts of the body, whereas veins are the blood vessels which will bring the blood from the body to the heart. Arteries carry oxygenated blood except pulmonary artery, and veins carry deoxygenated blood except pulmonary vein. Arteries have thick wall, veins have thin wall. Arteries have narrow lumen, veins have broad lumen or wide lumen. Pressure in arteries is high pressure in veins is low. Veins have valves whereas arteries do not have valves. What is the function of valves? It prevents the backflow of blood. The third capillary blood vessel that we have is the capillaries, and this is the thinnest blood vessel in our body. It is said that it is 1 cell in thickness, so that it reaches each and every cell of our body. So, if I draw an artery gets distributed into arterioles. So, this is an artery, this is an arteriole, this is collected at venules, and several venules join together to form the veins. And what we have over here will be the capillaries. These are the cells. What happens at this place is, when blood comes from the artery, we have oxygenated blood coming from the artery into this cell, and when it moves through the cell, it will, when blood moves from this part to this part, when it is moving from this part, what will happen? Exchange of gases will take place. It will give oxygen to the cell and it will take out carbon dioxide from the cell by the simple process of diffusion, because of which it was rich in oxygen at this moment, and as it moves ahead it gets richer in carbon dioxide, more carbon dioxide, more carbon dioxide, more carbon dioxide. When it reaches in the veins, it has large amount of carbon dioxide, and hence the blood which was oxygenated at this point is now deoxygenated after it moves out of that tissue. So, this is exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide takes place in between the cells in this tissue. This is how capillary is helping in providing oxygen to each and every cell of our body. So, the third blood vessel is capillaries, and it is helping in providing blood to each and every cell of our body. So, this is all for today. Tomorrow we will discuss the structure of heart and its function. What is the mechanism of pumping of blood in the next class. Thank you for watching. Do subscribe the channel. If you liked it, share it with your friends. Do not forget to click on the bell icon to get the notification whenever a new video is released. Thank you.